Good morning. Today I'm going to show you how to kind of set up one of these line drawings. And sometimes they can be very complicated and they can end up like this, but we're going to do one a little more similar. And even though this looks kind of intimidating, I know that you can do it. So the first thing you're going to do, I have a rectangular piece of paper, and the first thing I'm doing is just drawing a border all the way around the edge of it. So I'm just following the edge of my paper so that I have a border at the end. So there we go. Step one, easy peasy. All right, now let's separate it in half this way. And you don't have to use a ruler or anything, just kind of guess about halfway. I'm gonna make myself two little dots. That looks like half and that looks like half. So that's where this line's gonna be. All right, so I've separated those in half. And now let's separate each of those in half. So we're going to have 4 long sections. And then kind of find the center. And let's draw a big line across the middle here. So you can see that my lines are not perfectly straight, and that's not going to make a difference in the end. All right, so next, let's go from this corner to this corner. And back up to this one. And down to this one. And back up here. So we just went V and V. And then down at the bottom, we'll do kind of the opposite. So we'll go up, down, up, down. So now we have this shape. The last thing we are going to do is just make a straight line in the middle of each of these. So now we are set up and ready to go. But the first thing we need to do before we start getting done, so the way Zentangles work is we make a lot of little triangles. So let me grab like a scrap piece of paper here somewhere that I can just practice a triangle on. So you do the same thing. Grab a scrap piece of paper. So just make a triangle. And what we're going to do in each of these little triangles on our paper, we're going to start at a point of the triangle and go up to kind of a flat spot, and then go from that point to a flat spot here. And then we keep repeating that until we get to the center of the triangle. And you have to go the same direction the whole time. So I do recommend if you ever have to stop, don't finish your line, because then you'll remember what direction you were going. So we go from the point that we just made to the next flat spot. And point to flat, and point to flat. And we just keep going until we get to the very end. put enough of these shapes together, it's going to give us stuff like this. It's pretty amazing. We can also go the other direction. So we can go clockwise. Point to flat, point to flat, point to flat. And you can make these lines as close together as you want, or as far apart as you want, depending on how much time you want to spend on your piece of art. And I think these designs look better when you use a little bit of a fatter marker. So like if you're working on a full sheet of paper, maybe not a super fine point, unless you want to make tiny, tiny triangles. All right, so that's your practice. What we're going to do now is just kind of draw in what directions our lines are going to go. And what I like to do is sort of mirror image it. So this line, and I'm going to do this in pencil so that we just have a map down. This line is going to go that way. And so our mirror image over here is going to do just the opposite thing. It's going to go up this way. And then down here, since this is kind of a little mirror image of that one, we're going to head downward with that line. And then with this one, we will also head downward. And I'm just putting in my little blueprints so that I'll know where to go. Where should we go with these two? So let's start upward with these two. So let's go this direction with this one, and this direction with this one. And then down here, we'll start on the same edge with this triangle, and same with this one. So we've got our center triangles taken care of. Now let's see, we'll start at this edge and go downward with this one. So that means over here, we'll start at this corner and go downward. So on the corresponding triangle here, we'll do that same thing. So we'll go from this point downward. And then if we want it to all be symmetrical, we'll do the same thing here. We'll kind of mirror this one here. So this one will go upward, and this one will go up that way. And same here. So this one will go up this way, and that one will go up that way. So now we just have a couple of triangles left on each side, so we can decide, do we want to go this way or do we want to go that way? I think on these, let's go this way and this way. So then that means on these, we will go this way. Wow, frog in my throat. That way and that way. So now we have our basic architecture down and we know what we're gonna do. And the reason that I'm gonna actually make this longer. So the reason that we have these in here so that we remember what to do. And I'm just double checking to make sure that I have an arrow in each one. So that's our setup, and then we'll get started adding the lines. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to go about filling this in. And you can go at your own pace. Since we've already put our arrows down, you know which direction to go, which direction to get started in. So I'm going to start with this center, and I'm going to start at the point, and I'm going to go upward, and I'm going to hit a flat spot, and then I'm going to start at that point, and I'm going to go down, and I'm going to hit a flat edge, and then I'm going to come over and hit a point. So we're continually going from point to flat, and point to flat, and point to flat, point to flat, point that I just made, and up to the next flat spot, point to flat, point to flat, and point to flat. And we just continue until we get to a place where we think I can't fit any more lines in there, like that. So now we're done with that section. And we can just proceed to any wow, I'm having an allergy morning. We can proceed to any of these other sections. But I'm going to go here. So we're going to start at our same point. And up to the next flat spot. And then from that point, I'm going to go to this next flat spot. And then I'm going to come down. From point to flat, and point to flat. And your mind may be going a little more quickly. So just progress more quickly if you want to, and you can move on to another section. Point to flat, point to flat. And you can see that my lines are not completely straight. They're a little wobbly, but the end effect is still going to be really nice, even if you have wobbly lines. So you go from point to flat, and point to flat, and point to flat, point to flat. So now I've finished 2 sections, and you can see that just those 2 sections are starting to make a really interesting pattern. And you can progress in absolutely any order that you want. I like to start in the middle and work towards the outsides. So I'm going to go from that point over to this flat edge, and up, and back down. So we're just making more and more triangles, and each triangle is a tiny bit smaller. And here's a hint: if you have to get interrupted and you have to stop in the middle of a line. Don't finish your line, because then it's kind of more difficult to figure out which direction you were going. So if I have to pick up my pen, I always stop in the middle of a line, because then I know I can continue, and that's my point that I'm going to. It can be very confusing if you stop and then you can't remember which direction you were going. I know from experience. So we're just going to keep going from the point we just made over to the next flat spot. Point to flat, point to flat, point to flat, to flat. And we're just going to keep making these great little triangles. So point to flat and point to flat. And like I said, you may be going much more quickly than me. That's absolutely fine. I try not to rush it and just to kind of do it at my own pace. And you can turn your paper if that makes it easier for you. All right, so this one we're going down this way. So I'm going to my next flat spot and then back up this really long line. And down. And to the next flat edge. And then up to the next flat spot. And down. And from that point over to my next flat spot. From the point to the flat spot. So we've got half of that middle section finished now, and I'm going to go ahead and speed up the rest of the video so that it's more of a time lapse and you don't have to watch me go very, very slowly for each section. All right? So there we have it. This is the finished product. And you can see that all those little triangles and the different angles, the way that the little lines hit each other, they really make this awesome abstract looking patterny stuff. Now you can color this, you can shade it, you can do whatever you want. You can leave it alone. Sometimes it's fun to just look at it every day and see new shapes. I hope that this has brought you some joy and some relaxation in your day today, and I look forward to doing more drawings and paintings with you.